Okay, so this is going to be purling. And remember, we just finished the knitting, and it looks kind of funny, but you always want your thread. See, what some people do, and that's a problem, is after they finish, like we just finished the knitting and the stitches were over here, they'll want to flip it this way and bring the yarn over like this, and see how it's in the back of your needle, and you make an extra stitch. This comes out as an extra stitch, so your piece of work will get longer and longer and longer, and you'll get an extra stitch every second row or every row. So what you want to remember is, after you're done knitting, you always want to turn it this way. You turn it to the left. So you have this big floppy loop, which just ignore it, this loop right here. You want your thread to come in between that loop and off into the front. See how this looks? So you want off into the front. You want all of your stitches to be over here on your right hand side. Stitches are on the needle on the left, needles on the left, stitches are on the right, always. Okay, so we're going to do purling, and we're going to slip our stitch off on this one also. I usually do it every single row. Slipping the stitch when you're purling is the exact same. You put your needle right in to that thread, just as if you were going to do a knit, and you just pull your left needle right out. So you just have one stitch on your right hand needle, and then these ones are just hanging out over here on the left. Now this is the tricky part when you are going to purl after you've knitted a row. To purl, you want the yarn in the front, and some people will just kind of start working it just like this. But the trick is to bring it around the back of your right needle and put it in between the two needles. See how it's in between? It's right there. It's in between the two needles. This is going to make a nice purl stitch. What you're going to do for purling, and it actually gets a lot clearer as you go, it's almost the opposite of knitting. You're going to go in upside down in between your loop that's on the left hand needle. Let's see if I can get this a little clearer for you. I've got these enormous needles. Going to go in the front of the loop on your left hand needle, and I hold it there also, and hold the two needles together. This thread, your working yarn from your skein of yarn, goes in between and around the back of your right hand needle, but it's making a loop in between your two needles. Then you bring your needle back a little bit, your right hand needle back a little bit, and what you're going to do is put it in between the loop and behind the left hand needle and pull it off of the left hand needle. So you're going to take your right hand needle, bring it in the front of your left hand needle, so you're coming this angle. Knitting, I don't want you to be confused. Knitting goes up and in the back. Purling goes down. Down and in between and in the front. Purling is down and in the front. Knitting is up and in the back. So we're going to be purling. So you're going down and in the front of the left hand needle. Hold the two needles together, bring your yarn around the front needle, which is your right needle, and keep it in the front now. See how it's just like this. You bring it around your right needle, and then you're going to bring your stitch off of your left needle. So you're going to come back of your right needle, you're going to back it up, bring it in the back of your left hand needle, and gently bring that stitch off of your left hand needle. So again, you still have your yarn in the front. See how it's in the front? If it's in the back, then you're knitting. If it's in the front, you're purling. You come in the front and down, because we're purling. hold your stitches, bring it between the two needles around the back of the front needle, which is your right hand needle. So you've got this loose little stitch here. You bring it around the back. I just did that again. And then you push back on your right needle, bring it between and off. So you're going in the front of your left needle, hold it, bring it around the back of your right needle. So it's in between the two needles, push your right needle back, and then it goes right in back of your left needle and off. In the front of that stitch, hold it, bring it around the front needle. This is your working yarn. Push back with your thumb, push your right needle back until that you can put it behind your left needle and then bring it off. In the front, down and in front was purling. Use your yarn to come around the back of the front needle, push it, and then gently just get your, the goal is just to get the stitch off of your left needle. So you go in the front, around the back, push it, and bring it off. In the front, bring it around the back, back and off. Around the back and off. Around the back. And you see here how you have your tail from the first row, you just tighten that up nicely. And it still is the same length as it was, so it's just kind of hanging out there, but it won't get in your way, and you'll eventually, when you're finished with your piece, you'll get it off of there. So I'm just going to show you. So now we've finished the purl row. And what you do when you want to knit, because you're going to knit your next row, you flip it over, turn it to the right, and bring your yarn around the back. See how nice? This is knitting. Whenever you're looking, as your piece gets longer, you're going to be looking at either knitting or purling. This year, you're looking at knitting. So now we're going to knit since we just purled a row. I don't know if you can see that clearly enough, but those are knits. They look like little braids. Look like little braids. Purling looks like little bumps. This is purl. They're like little pearls on your piece of work. So what you want to do now is we're going back into knitting. See those little knits? I don't know, it's kind of bad lighting, but those are knits. So now you'll knit. Okay. All right.